What's going on, guys? So we have some more trades for you. Yesterday was a non-trading day. I didn't trade at all. I was looking at the Dash IPO, but it really wasn't very interesting. Today you got the Airbnb IPO, so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Right now it's sitting at 68. It says 68. That was supposed to be the IPO price, but it's already up to 150 now. So the opening prints are coming out at $150 for Airbnb IPO price. We'll see what happens when it opens. I don't know. Yesterday Dash opened at 12:45, so around there. So we might have the same time open. We'll see. I mean, if it opens at 150 and starts trading higher, goes above 200, I probably won't be interested in it at all. Really, with Airbnb, it's basically, are we going to see a little dip off the open? And if so, maybe I'll buy some for a quick trade. It's one of those things that might be an interesting swing trade, but if it's opening up at $150, I don't see that as sustainable necessarily. Like I said, for a day trade, it might be all right, but I don't think you're going to want to be holding that thing for any significant periods of time. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Airbnb. We'll see what happens. Obviously, if you're long biased, then wait for a dip. That would be my suggestion. But if not, then maybe take a quick day trade on it. Sucks to see SSPK breaking down lower. I had a short on it, and it was a pretty nice short. I also had a long this morning on IMMP. So I'll go over those two trades with you real quick, mainly because these are the only trades I took today. I'm trying to focus on less trades, better quality. So that's something that I'm really trying to focus on, because something that and SSPK is breaking lower, of course. Something I'm really struggled with the last couple weeks is just being very hesitant when it comes to these breakout moves. So then I'll miss it and I'll have FOMO, and then I end up over trading. So the whole point of my attempts to learn and become better at trading, and also kind of gain a new perspective on what you're doing, and kind of how your emotions take control. And a lot of times, like, I look back at a lot of the trades I made over the past 2 weeks, and I really, none of them were great trades. They were all almost terrible trades. No good fundamental reasons for buying where I was. It was basically because I missed a big move, and I got, that FOMO kicked in, and it was just like, man, this thing's high. It's going higher. I got to get in. It's going to go higher. And then it's like I'm buying right into resistance, and I'm buying right at the top of the move, right? And these are the things you can't do. So I've been focusing more on dip trades, more on buying into resistance, buying into support, depending on which way you're going, whether you're going long or short. I know a lot of people, tend to go either short or long. They're not necessarily biased. I'm not necessarily biased in one direction, but I know a lot of traders kind of are either long biased or short biased. I myself just kind of want to learn both strategies. That way I understand how both sides are thinking. I understand what shorts are thinking when a stock starts shooting up 200%, where they're going to look to short it. And the same thing is like when a stock is bouncing down, where are the longs looking to get in, right? So these are the things that I've been kind of focusing on, building my strategies more around support and resistance, more around timing good entries rather than chasing. I wait for pullbacks. So you can see here on IMMP this morning, it was pre-market. I don't normally trade pre-market, but lately I've been wanting to do it more, mainly because of like these moves you see here. So, and the funny thing about this trade, and this is another thing that kind of gets me in trouble. Now, I made decent money on this trade, so it's not like, oh, this is a loss, but it's just one of those things where if I just held this trade until like 9:15, basically, or even into the open, right, and sold here, I basically just hold this trade. It never comes down to this level again. You see this pullback, and this is the thing. I bought this trade, this stock, on the pullback. So as I was watching it, I'm like, okay, it's pushing higher on heavy volume. These are good things. So then I start looking at the resistance levels, and I start looking at kind of, this 590 is resistance. Okay, so it's having a hard time pushing through $6. So when it pulled back to about 550, I was like, you know what? This is probably going to be a good dip opportunity. So I got in here close to, the $0.50. My stop being the volume weighted average price, which was down at 510. So 558 with a stop at 510, or like 513 or whatever. So about a 10% stop loss. Obviously, you can also see that this Keltner channel line, the bottom of the channel, is also acting as support here, and the SMA is moving higher, right? At that position, it's pointing upwards, and it's kind of trending right above that. So my thought process was that this was, fading into support, and then you were going to have a bounce, and then you could have a retest of this level here, and that's exactly what happened. Now, with me, it was kind of like it shot up to like 75, and then you had that immediate resistance. So in my mind, it was like, crap, this thing could pull back and then go back down to the volume weighted average price, because there is resistance levels here. You can see this mid channel and this SMA both kind of converging here, acting as resistance levels, but they could also act as support, and that's what they did. But at the time, it was kind of like watching the price action. It looked like it could flush, so I got out, happy with a quick trade there. 11 cents, nothing amazing, but it was decent profits. But like I said, if I would have just held this through this whole move, it would have been a much nicer trade. And that's something you learn, right? These are things that I come to, look at as learning experiences. I was still profitable, still a green day, still a good day overall. And as I build my strategies and learn from my mistakes, I start to understand why you need to hold in these positions, and maybe even buy the dips, in this level when it shoots up from 550 to, maybe buy this dip here of 560 and then hold, knowing that, your now stop price is 550, right? So what some traders do is they'll add into these dips. Even with me, it's kind of, I have to get that confidence to be able to buy these and hold them through these moves. And as long as it doesn't break down below, your buy-in price, then it's really not worth it to sell it at this level. Like obviously I did, and that's emotions. Your emotions start to take control. You're like, oh, okay, this thing could flush, and it could, a green trade could turn into a red trade. But the other thing is that you can also get back in, right? Like I could have got back in here once it broke this 580 level and moved up towards $6, and that would have been a good trade, right? And I probably should have, but I was kind of hesitant because I expected a pullback here at least, and it didn't really happen. So I missed that move, and then as it kind of kept going up, you saw this resistance level forming, and so I started getting hesitant around the 650 level, not wanting to get in, and then obviously it ripped past that. But by that point, it was too close to the opening bell for me. I don't like to trade things, going into the opening bell, because then you risk, a big flush as soon as it opens. Now, generally it'll come right back, but you don't know. You never know. I just don't want to be stuck in a huge flush. So I was happy with just taking a small little scalp trade there, bouncing off of this kind of support level and off of this pullback. So it was a pretty safe trade, and taking my profits where I did made it even safer, but obviously holding would have been more profitable. But at the end of the day, that's what we do, right? We learn from our mistakes and from our previous trades, and we get the confidence to hold these through moves like this, and then we able to become more profitable. So right here, I should have just been, holding with the VWAP as my stop, holding it until, I either made really good, till it pushed up into a level where there was really big, resistance. So I probably would have sold in the 650 level here, or you hold, into the opening bell or close to the opening bell if it just keeps tripping higher. Anyway, these are things that I'll work on with my strategies, and they will build and give me confidence over time. But for right now, that is that. Down to SSPK. So this stock had a announcement today that they had partnered with Weed Maps. So basically they are acquiring weed maps. So this is like a basically they call it the Yelp of cannabis. I think it was something like that. Um, but anyway, yeah. So WM Holding Company, which is Weed Maps Holding Company, was purchased by Silver Spike Acquisition Corp. So this is a SPAC, Special Acquisition Corp, and they have purchased this Weed Maps, looking to kind of capitalize on the cannabis, I guess, business and what do you call it? I don't know. I guess like subscription softwares and retail, like because it's basically like a rating site or a site where dispensaries will put up ads for their business. So it's a company that is focusing on the software and kind of information side of the cannabis space rather than actually purchasing cannabis or selling cannabis or growing cannabis. It's more of a technology based platform. So it is not meant to be big into the cannabis space. It's really just drawing off of the new kind of run up, especially if the US legalizes. You're going to have a huge need for like Google searches and things like that. Obviously Google will work, but these things will help Weed Maps basically advertise, and because it's one place where people can actually advertise and where people can actually put on things about cannabis. Like in Canada, a lot of it's restricted, so it's one way kind of to get around that, to be able to advertise through this technology company and online, where people are looking for reviews, looking for advice or whatever, right? And so if you can get your company advertising in those places, you're probably gonna have some good sales from it. So that's just something to be aware of. It was a pretty decent catalyst, and I wasn't looking necessarily to short it right out of the gate. I was waiting to see what was going to happen. The reason why I wanted to short it is because it's really not, this is not going to make a big deal until, if obviously if weed gets legalized in the US, this is going to probably blow up. It's going to be something that it's going to take a while. Now obviously still had a pretty decent move today. It was up almost 40% at one point. And the funny thing about this is that I was trying to short it actually up here, and my mouse died. So this is one of the reasons why you should always have a wired mouse, obviously. The funny thing is that I was literally, I hit the buy button, I hit the sell button, had the order up, had it ready to execute, and my mouse died. So I just didn't hit the send order key, and that, obviously the order didn't get sent, the order didn't get filled, I didn't get filled. So I was running around trying to find a battery, and by the time I found one, it had already flushed. And I'm like, fuck, I missed that whole, move. And now I'm stuck in this, can it break above 15 again? If it can, then maybe I'll look to short above 15. It really couldn't. It was really hitting a wall here at 1490, and then at like 15, and then 1490. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get in this thing with a short at 1485, and my closing, I will give it, if it can break 15 with any serious volume, then I would have probably looked to get out of it around the 1520 mark if it could break that and hold above it. Because if it breaks 15 and then hits 1510 or something and then immediately flushes, it's going to be a short. But if it can obviously go up and break 1550, 1560, then it's going to be a long. And that's why, getting in here at 1485 at least gave me like a 4 or 5% stop, where I had a pretty a pretty good idea that if it broke 15 and then could hold above 1510, 1520, then it would be a long, so I would get out. So I had like a 30-40 cent stop, but at the same time, if this thing went the other way, you could have a break of VWAP and then a flush, and that's kind of what happened, as you see. Now, like I said, I wish I wanted to get in up here and short it up here, and then obviously if my mouse didn't die, I probably would have been shorting it around 1530, and then it would have been a really nice trade, right? Basically $1 a share trade, but it was still a decent trade. 1485 down to 1427. The only problem is that what I normally will do is I'll buy or sell, so I'll get in with a limit order. So this is a limit order, but then when I look to sell, I generally do it with a market order because I want to get out as quick as I can when I see like a huge flush down. So what happened was that I actually saw like 1416 on here. So there was 1420, it was like 1425, 1416, you know, and then it was like 1428, 1416. So for me, when I looked, it was like, okay, 1416, if I can hit that, it's going to be, you know, a really nice trade. Even 1425 is a decent trade. So I hit the market hoping to get it filled anywhere in there, and I got filled at 1427.79. So it wasn't a great fill price. Obviously, it was still a good trade, still made good money, but it's just that one thing where it's like, if I could have shorted it up here where I really wanted to into the resistance. You see this topping tail here, you see this resistance, this is a bear flag right there. So this gave me the confidence to short it in this range and hold. Obviously I would have liked to short it up here more around the 1530 area and then hold through this push down with a target of $14. So obviously covering, you know, in this area would have been fine. 14.15 would have been a good price to cover, and that would have been my trade. And that's, you know, one or two of these a day is good enough to make your trading career, right? You don't need to be trading 15, 20 times a day. You don't need to be, you know, jumping in these stocks that are shooting up 200% out of the gates. Like, look at IMMP here, you know? It's like basically right out the gates, it was like shooting up. Oh, it's you know, it's almost at $8. It's trying. It's giving you the continuation, but then it just fades. And it just fades. And the funny thing is, I was trying to short this around this 720, 725 area, but I just couldn't get shares to short. So that would have been a really nice short if I could have got filled. And this is typically what happens with Questrade is they just don't have a lot of small cap stocks to locates to borrow, so they just don't have these stocks available to short, and that puts you in a kind of problem because, you know, these are the best setups. Like, you saw this rejection at $8 and then this rejection down towards the $7 area trying to hold up, but it just couldn't break the volume weighted average price. You have this flush and then you have this push up, and this is exactly where I would have looked to get short, right in these topping tail candles here, showing you that, and your stop is the volume weighted average price, right? Your stop is $7. So you get in at 685 and your stop is $7, or you hold through this, you know, push down. So you get almost $1 a buck a share, up to 15%, right? So that's typically, you know, a nice short setup right there. And you see the same thing happening here in SSPK. So you're probably going to see another short setup here as it pushed up to this 1424 and it got rejected. You're going to see another short setup. The problem with this stock, SSPK, is, like I said, it does have decent news. So this is one of the reasons why I don't like to hold these shorts for any significant period of time. I'm really just getting in to ride the momentum as people are looking to take profits up in here. They see it fading, so they're taking their profits, and that's when you're going to get this push down. And then once it bottoms out, you have the people that are kind of sitting there on the sidelines going, oh, hey, this is a decent price to buy. I'm going to get in here at 1370. And, you know, this new acquisition with Weedmaps, maybe I'll swing trade this and hold this for a month. Who knows? That's probably what a lot of people are thinking, right? Because it is decent news. Like I said, it's not anything significant right now, but in the next few years, if the U.S. legalizes, if you have like a massive movement globally, then this could be you know, go up to a $50 stock. Who knows, right? But the technicals told me that it was a short at this level because of this topping tail, and because of the fact that I could get in here with a level above 15 as my stop, knowing that, you know, basically the top of this candle here, 1530, would have been this candle right here would have been my stop because there's resistance there. So if it can break above that, obviously it's going to be a long, but if it holds below that, it's a short. And I probably would have looked to add up here, right, to my short position. Obviously, you need to be sure that it is going to be a topping tail, and you see like a double top forming, and then you'll see a nice rejection. But either way, it was a decent trade, and the fundamentals were there, so I took it. And yeah, that's that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back at you with another video soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.